Today's going to be a follow along beginner's session for the planche and front lever. So a straight arm strength session. If you are joining in, jump up, start with a passive hang. So with the passive hang, we're just trying to lengthen the body as much as possible. The goal here is to hang for 60 seconds, ideally hands shoulder width apart. If you need to, use a slight toe assist. So just put your toes lightly on a box, on a yoga block, or on the floor if you can reach. And then we're just going to hang there for 60 seconds. Now in the session today, I am going to use rings for the front lever work. Now they're exactly the same thing, can be done on a bar, but I recommend the bar is around this height. So you could use a barbell across a squat rack or a Smith machine, something like that. So the hang has opened up the upper body nicely. Now let's get down onto the floor and warm the hands up. So I'm going to spread the fingers. I'm going to place the shoulders directly on top of the hands, and I'm just going to do some circles. If you're a little bit tight there, don't make the circles so big, but as you start to open up, make the circles a little bit bigger. And then we're just going to move up and down. So peel the hands through the fingers, through the knuckles, through the palms, so that feels nice and happy. And then we're going to warm up the scapula a little bit more from a pushing point of view. So I'm going to have the shoulders directly on top of the hands, and I'm just going to push up to protraction. So protractions when we're rounding that upper back, and then I'm going to come down to retraction, so bringing the shoulder blades together but with the arms straight, and then back up again. Do 10 reps there, going between that retracted position and that protracted position. Now if you have got a little bit more condition here, if you're a little bit stronger, you can do this up onto the toes. Again, 10 repetitions. Just make sure that you are keeping the arms straight and that you're fully rounding that upper back into protraction. So the scapula, the shoulder blade, should hug in to the rib cage. So 10 reps, nice and slow with control. Remember, if you need to, you can go back to the knees if you start to lose that position in, making sure that you get all the way up to protraction. Then we're going to come up, jump up onto the bar or rings or whatever you have. I'm going to go into active passive, 10 repetitions. So this is where we go from depression or elevation of the shoulders, and then I'm going to depress the shoulders into that position. So this is active, this is passive, and I'm moving through that 10 times with the arms straight. 5, 6, trying to get as big a range of motion as I can. 8, 9, 10. Okay, now I'm going to come down onto the floor. I'm going to go into a planche lean position. So I'm going to externally rotate the hands, place them down onto the floor. I'm going to do a 30-second hold in this position. So I'm going to round the upper back, so there, and then I'm going to lean forwards. If that feels okay, up onto the toes, keep leaning forwards, keep rounding. Now we start the timer 30 seconds from now. I can turn the toes over, I can lean forwards even more, but I've got to make sure that I prioritize that upper back scapula so it's nice and rounded. The arms are staying dead straight. Remember, if I need to, I can bring it back, make it slightly easier. I can even go down onto the knees, but making sure that protraction stays pushing up and forwards so all the energy is in that positioning. There's no energy in the hips. And it's all about rounding the upper back. Okay, that's 30 seconds. Slowly come back out. Little rest here. We'll just put the forearms together, interlace the fingers, and just do some circles. Make sure the wrists are nice and happy. Now we do have another option with the planche work, is that we could use P-bars. So if you prefer just all your warm-ups, do your reps on the P-bars. So here, exactly the same thing. It's just your hands going to be turned out. That is a little bit nicer on the wrists. So that's an option. Next, let's get upside down on the ring. So this is going to work as our inverted position. It's good for conditioning the scapula, and it gives us a point where we can lower into the front lever, which is much easier than lifting up into it. So first we're going to get upside down. So I'm going to place the hands on top of the rings. I'm going to walk through them. There, I'm going to turn them over. So now palms are facing the opposite direction. I'm going to walk backwards, try and get the hips up as high as possible. This is going to make it really hard if I do that with the hips. I want it up nice and high. And then I'm just going to see if I can step into the position there. Now the other option is, if you do have a bit more control, a bit more strength with that one, is to pull into the position there. And that might be the option you need to do if you're using the bar. So if I'm using a bar in that position, I might need to get into it like this, step up into that position, even have one foot on the other side of the bar like that, but just staying in that invert position. And we're just going to hold here for around 10 seconds. Just make sure that we can get into it and we can exit back out again. So whichever variation you're using, make sure you can step in and out with control. Next, I'm going to do some planche walks. So I'm going to externally rotate the hands, create that strong protracted position again. I'm going to come up into the bottom of my push-up, or the top of my push-up. So there, I'm going to round forwards. So a bit like a planche lean, maybe not so far forwards where we're maxing out, but in a nice strong foundation position where my back is still in good protraction. And then I'm just going to try and walk the feet in towards the tuck. So notice that my hips aren't raising. So I'm going to do this 5 times, nice and slow. So make sure tight tuck as much as you can, and then all the weight, all the energy is as much as you can in that scapular protraction in the arms, making sure that they're staying straight, and in the hands. So once we've done 5 reps with control, just come back out, have a little rest. Then we're going to do similar up on the rings. So I'm going to hold on, walk around, go into that inverted position like we did a moment ago, where it's on the bar or the rings. So I'm here. Now I'm just going to keep a tight tuck, so knees by the chest, and then I'm going to come down and then back again. I'm going to go a little bit further, both directions, but the front lever direction, or the down, so the front of the movement, this one, I'm going to go a little bit further than the back. So we're just focusing on that front lever today. We're just building control, depending on how much you have through there. And remember, this is still part of the warm-up, so it doesn't want to be too hard. And don't let the hip go below the shoulders, because you'll probably fall down, or it's just going to make it too intense. And then just make sure you can come out with control. Next, we're going to do holds in both our front lever and our planche. Now, this is going to be dependent on what level you're at. So if you're still new to this, we're going to use toe assist. If you're a little bit more conditioned and you can lift the toes up, then you can just hold the tuck planche position. But prioritize the rounding, that upper back, that scapular position, and prioritize the time. So make sure you last the 10 seconds. If you can only last 3 or 4 seconds, the progression you've picked is too hard. If you can do 20 to 30 seconds, the progression you've picked is too easy. So exactly the same setup as before, round the upper back. But this time we're going to come into the planche, and I'm just going to go turn the toes over, hold there for 10 seconds. So if I can, I could go one leg. If I can, I could lift both. But ideally, I'm just focusing on really strong protraction, 10-second hold, and come back out. Now exactly the same, but for the front lever. So I'm going to lower into the position again, so I can do it from the back, or I'm going to step into it like this from the front, into my invert position, tight tuck, and then I'm just going to bring the hips down as close to being in level with the shoulders as I can. Now I can make this a little bit easier by pushing the knees out, so into my arms, or I could stay up a little bit higher. But ideally, hip is going to be level with the shoulders. Again, 10 seconds. And then return back from where you started, or just step down with control. Now, I'd recommend that you rest around 30 seconds to 60 seconds. No longer than 60 seconds, because ideally with a planche workout, we're going to be doing lots of sets with short time under tension. So around 8 to 10 second holds for multiple sets. For this one, I only want you to do 3 sets. And that was just one we done then. So 1 set of planche, 1 set of front lever. We've got 2 more to do. So back into the planche again, exactly the same. Or if it was easy, make it harder. If it was too hard, make it easier. Either that toe assist or no toe assist. And then back out. Very short rest between the planche and the front lever. Now, if your front lever is a priority over your planche, I'd do it the other way around. I'd train the front lever first, then go into the planche. Then have the longer rest after the planche. Okay, into the front lever. Again, 10-second hold. Make sure the arms are straight. You're pushing the shoulders away. I'm going in that direction with the shoulders. I'm pushing down on the rings. And then come back out. Now you might find that your front lever position is stronger than your planche position, and that just means that you can progress it a little bit more. This is often the case because normally the front lever is easier than the planche, so all it means is you can start to take your knees away from your chest. But if you are going to do that, just make sure that your feet or your heels stay close to your butt as you come away. What we don't want to do is this, because that will just pull you down, because the lever arm is getting too big while the hips are getting heavier because the knees are moving at the same time as the legs or as the feet. Okay, let's go into the third set. Now I'm going to show you another option now. We can use a band. I would recommend that you don't use the band all the time, but it does give you the ability to step up the progression by using a little bit more assistance. So I'm going to put the band over the top of this bar. I'm going to loop it over. Putting it onto a high ring is good because you can adjust the height that way. This is obviously a fixed bar. I could change the thickness of the band. This is a nice thin one. And then I'm going to put the band around the hips. I'm going to put my hands underneath where the band attachment point is, so it's pulling me up to protraction. So there, and then I'm just going to lift up in that position. So now I'm going to do my 10-second hold here with band assist. Obviously you don't have to use the band, it's optional, but it's worth playing with. If you are using the programs in the app, you will notice that some of them have sets without the band and some with the band. And that's a nice way of doing it. So you do a few sets without the band and then a few sets with, or the other way around. We can do exactly the same with the front lever. Now with the front lever, it's a little bit trickier to use the band because if you go into a tight tuck, it will often roll off you. So one way to do it is to sit it underneath your butt in that position. So there, but I am going to have to frog the legs a little bit to hold on to the band. So see now, the knees have gone the other side. But there's my 10-second hold, and it means I can open out a little bit further. But again, try and keep that hip in line with the shoulders and make sure that you're taking the shoulders back in that direction as the hips and legs go in that direction. But again, prioritize the 10-second hold. And I'd recommend that most of you don't use the band for the front lever until we get a really nice tucked position. And there you go, that's the end of this follow along session. Now, if that one does feel a little bit too easy for you, check out the next class. So I've got a level 2 or like an intermediate level 1 in the app. If you have any questions, please reach out. Now you'll find more follow along videos, tutorials and programs in my app. Link is down in the description, or visit my website, www.paultwyman.com.au, and I'll see you in the next one.